you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. All right. Hope you had a nice trip to Florida.
I did.
Good. So we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order, and Eric can't join us today. He's having cataract surgery. He let me know that the other day. So did you guys get a chance to read the minutes? They were in our packet that CJ sent out to us. Do we have any corrections or anything to? If not, we need a motion to approve, please. Hi, Steve.
I so moved to approve the minutes.
Okay, thank you, Larry. We have a
I'll second
second.
them.
Linda is seconding them. Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Minutes. Well, that's good. No, yeah, it is. It is.
Different table.
Yeah. So following up, we do not have any public hearings, and the first item on here was just kind of following up with where, remember last month we had Andre? Andre joined us, and we had question and answer and tried to learn some things, and I think reading through the minutes, CJ, you did the minutes last, no,
Probably Dory.
probably.
No,
No,
I
you
can't.
did, I was gonna say,
Karen or Dory?
I think you whoever did them captured it very well. I can't make an assumption, I know who's doing the minutes. I hate to, okay, but I think they were captured very well with kind of, with what we're trying to do, plus the nebulousness of everything. We did leave here, if I'm off my memory, that we were gonna look, and Frank, you thought you were gonna look into the current owner to find out who it was, so on and so forth. So I don't know
Yes,
if anybody looked at some loose ends like that, just to kind of to continue a little bit of dialogue today
The
about
boss.
that.
I sent an email to the head of the DDA and had a conversation with somebody on the DDA and have gotten nowhere.
This is the boss.
So I apologize.
It's fine.
And I did not reach back out to correct the deficit,
Well,
as they would say.
you guys, this is, in my opinion, a baby step thing anyway.
Yeah.
We're feeling our way through this and that we certainly don't approach it with a heavy hand, but we gotta find if there are advocates and people that can help and support the process, is engage them.
Yes, without a response, I feel that is not a good, I believe there's not as much interest as I have, let's put it that way, to get the address and get somebody who owns the property involved through that avenue. I mean, it's not saying that it can't be done, but if it doesn't appear I'm not gonna get any help from that avenue.
Has there been any discussion that you're aware of in the DDA realm about some of the ideas that the DDA might even be thinking about for the building or that space anymore?
No, lately, they might now, because now they've cleared their desk, as they would say, because they just finished the approval for the grant for the fire truck, the new fire truck. So since that's off their table, maybe they can look at something else, but they get so laser focused on individual things, and they're, and of course, the other thing that was taken off their plate was the dog train. So there was a decision made for that, so I'm hoping Thursday night we decide that. Donna and the Youth Pass is gonna ask for it to go over by the trailhead. And we have plans as a city, our city staff has plans to re-energize that log cabin or museum and type and other lecture historical type involved in that with Parks and Rec. So several things would be going into that building for refurbish after, livens it up a little bit. So there are plans that the city is going to bring forward at Thursday's council meeting. So those are good steps forward. I think that area of town has been a little underserved. So it would be nice to see something of that magnitude over there, because I think that'll really bring up that part of town. Because of that empty lot, it looks a little depressed. And of course you have the back alleys there at that corner. And so I think this will make a big deal. And I think we're, depending on that use when that gets over there and the use of the log cabin and bringing use to that area. You know, it's, what's the saying? If they build it, we will come. So if something like that happens, then I would, you know, I've asked the city to look at the vacant lot for additional parking, if that's what it takes or something else. But I'm excited about the possibility that that area of town will look as good as it does over by the library. So, and that's my hope. That, you know, when that building, you know, is not going to be used 24 hours a day with just the pool people or the rec center.
It's a
Yeah,
tiny
so-
little space.
Right.
I mean, there's 2 rooms.
Right.
And it's a cool little old building.
Yeah. Well, in conjunction with the cog train, there's probably something we can do with that, you know, if nothing else, but just show it for tourists that come to go on the trail. But I would hope we would figure out something else to do.
That cabin used to go on the other end of town. Karen, have you heard anything else or different than what Frank has shared with us?
No, that's what I'm aware of.
Okay, and
So-
anything through any of your sources about the old Moss building? Any that you've heard for that site or anything?
I have not. That one's been very, very quiet. In fact, this group is probably the most robust discussion about the Voss building. Everything else is crickets.
Our town.
All right. Okay, all right, but I'm gonna ask Steve, because Steve usually has his ear to the ground with somebody, so having said that,
The lady that owns the Voss building has been very sick lately. She's not that old, she's only like not even 60 probably, but she's been real sick for the last month and a half. Her son's been taking care of her. Nobody's been able to get a hold of him since 6 weeks ago, other than know that since that time she has been sick, but nobody's been able to talk to the son. The city is at fault for the sewage breaking and seeping in, so it's being handled by the insurance company now, the city's insurance company. And what the hope is we can convince the lady that the building is not in her best interest to hang on to, and that it would also be in her best interest to collect the insurance money and sell it for what she paid for it. That's what our hope is.
and I think we determined that that price was 300-ish,
200 and,
so it's.
don't want to say 25, but two something.
Okay. Okay,
That's all I know.
that's more news than we had. That's good,
That's some knowledge. there.
actually. Cool. Is this woman and son, are they residents of us?
Colorado Springs.
Colorado Springs. Familiar name at all to you?
No.
Nothing like that, okay. Okay,
And the more ladies aren't doing their thing. Those women that wanted to, they're not in the picture anymore.
Which ladies?
So those 2 ladies who were at our meeting,
Oh, no, I think they're
they
pretty well out.
backed out totally.
Yeah, I haven't talked to her for a month and a half, and she thinks it's probably a sign that she shouldn't be going in that direction. All the things that have been going on with it, that I told her about the sewage leak,
Okay.
and I think that pretty well topped it off for her.
interesting.
So
So-
Steve,
Go ahead.
what was the source of your information for all that?
He doesn't want that revealed at this moment.
Okay,
So, knowing that, her health is obviously pretty important. So they're not anxious necessarily to do anything right away.
Don't know.
We don't know. But with what we learned from Andre and our Zoom with him last month, there would be an avenue and a scenario with what you just shared with us to possibly move on that. But, okay, cool. Well, thank you. I knew.
Hey, when everybody gets better, let us know if they want to meet.
Well, baby steps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Anything else or questions about that or thoughts? Karen, any thoughts or anything? Are you good on that?
I think we're okay.
Okay, all right. So as May is Colorado May Preservation Month, I don't think it's national, I think it's Colorado's Preservation Month. But our banner is here in the room and Linda has an interest in helping us maybe update and get a new banner.
Somebody needed to show some
Some,
interest.
okay, so we've got it in the budget again, to get it the right size, but to kind of revitalize it, have it look a little nicer.
Mhm.
And you thought about pulling in
Miriam,
Miriam in you guys' office.
she did a couple mock-ups, just
Oh,
as a starting place, and,
okay.
of course, we don't know what the language is supposed to be or any of that. We came over and looked at
Well,
this.
English would be.
Yeah, we're supposed to start with English.
So she gave me, I said, give me something really simple,
Oh,
give me
that's cool.
something bright.
Something
And
bright.
here's something bright.
Look at that.
And
looks
she,
good.
and she used the colors of the, she started with using the colors of the Woodland Park logo. City of Woodland Park logo is where the color scheme comes from. And there you go.
That's very nice.
And so what I want to mention though is I'd like to pay her for her time. So does that come out of the banner budget?
Yeah,
Could.
Okay.
we have
I
money.
mean, I asked her to do the work without asking that first, so I'll cover her wages for this much work. But
You
I
can
know,
ask us and then we can say yes. and
What are
then
we
say,
talking about?
Yeah, how much?
I asked her today, 8 hours at $30 an hour, so about $240 for her design time. It really just depends on what direction it goes and what, she's already put 3 hours into this. But I asked her to do this without asking for authorization on that, so I'll cover her wages up to now. But I wanted to bring that up as a possibility. She's a graphic designer, so none of us at this table are graphic designers. So she's a legitimate designer, but, this is just a starting place, but this is certainly better than what we have now. But I don't know what the verbiage is supposed to be on here.
Do we need all that in the middle?
That's why I brought both of them,
Thank you.
because I asked her for something simple, which is that one.
I'm driving along, I can't read all that, with all the traffic.
This is good at 60 miles an hour. You may have seen
That's a
that.
little too simple. There's something
You think it's too simple?
in the back.
At 60 miles an hour?
That one, I don't think that's too simple.
I don't either.
But
You think that's 60,
Little something
45,
around it or
60 miles too
something.
simple?
You know,
You'd see it though, right?
you can see it.
And
It's better than that one.
CJ printed out
Yeah.
for us the temporary sign and permit that mentioned something about the square footage.
It's like 4 by 12 is what I read in here. That's based on a 3 by 12. That's a 3 by 12 format. But I think in here it says 4 by 12. But I don't know, where is it going? I mean, there's different
Well,
sizes for
Okay,
different
first of
locations.
all, this doesn't meet the current specs. This was kind of grandfathered in, right? That's why we were hanging it at Walgreens
Right.
and those
Okay.
places.
All
Yes.
right, so let's back up with some other baseline information, since everything you're saying is accurate, but for like different nuances of things. So the current banner is too large to be located down at the kiosk where you see community event things being hung. And I was under the impression for the past 2 years that part of the desire for a smaller banner was to be able to place one at that location. Turns out we're not eligible to place a banner at that location because those are for, I think it's community events. And that was in your packet. That was like the last 2-3 pages of your packet. I had gotten a copy of what those requirements are from Cindy in Parks and Rec, who oversees all that. Yeah, maybe used for community events and activities only. And just drawing awareness to something like this doesn't constitute an activity or an event.
Okay, so historically, let's back up. There used to for everybody's knowledge, there used to be two big poles on each side of Highway 24 going right down Main Street. We used to hang, as a community, banners up over
No,
the highway. With the widening of Highway 24, whenever the heck that was, I can't remember anymore,
The poles are
that
too
sort of
short.
went away. So then, over in front of Williams Brothers Furniture, before Jerry and Vicky bought it, we had either poles or something, and so rather than have something over the highway, just kind of pivot in front of their place, we would hang banners. And we did that.
Or the rocking chairs now.
yeah, where the rocking chair is now. And that's kind of where the awareness piece for something like our banner would hang. So now, fast forward, it sounds like the rules that have been written up and the different categories, if I understand this right, Karen, we don't fit into a category then that would allow us to hang a banner down at that kiosk, is what you're saying.
Correct.
So our options are an event.
Yes, to hang at the kiosk, we have to have an event.
An event or an activity. So, go
What
ahead,
about-
Amy.
What about the banner poles that are above the changeable copy sign in Lions Park?
I don't know what the rules are for that.
That still all falls, to my knowledge, that still all falls under this city policy.
Okay,
So where we are is back to what we did last year, which is hanging a banner at like 2 other locations in town where you commonly see this. Which was, we had it for 2 weeks at Walgreens and then I think a week or so at Williams Furniture. The issue with the current banner is it blends into the background. I swear we were like 2 weeks into the month when I asked Dory, it's like, did we ever hang that banner? And she says, oh yeah, it's up there. And I literally drove past it every day for 2 weeks. I was sitting at that stoplight by Walgreens and never saw it. So the white banner, and I don't even know what color the ink is on it, whether it's a navy or a black, it's definitely not eye-catching. And yeah, when you are talking about signage, that kind of thing, simple is better. Since you are talking about people in a car that, at best, have a light cycle to read it, versus, when you're actually moving in a vehicle.
The city does not have an opportunity with the areas that the city has for us to be able to display the banner short of going to private businesses.
That is my
Yeah.
understanding.
And I don't have a copy of our budget, so I don't know what we budgeted for the doggone banner in the first place.
I think it was roughly $200, Lori, but we have a little wiggle room.
Yeah, I was just also thinking about Miriam's time, so that helps, to see if that was something that we had. Oh. That works. So. Karen remembered exactly right. 250s in that budget. Well, so what you guys desire, what do you want to do?
We need a new banner for sure, and a simple banner.
This one is a white background and you guys said it did not pop. It did not show up with a white background.
It needs a color behind
So,
white a little bit, but nothing else. This is, I'm trying to read all the words in the sunset, if that's what it is, or the sun rising. But
Definitely catches your eye though.
it catches your eye, yes, it does.
I'll tell you, the busier it is, the harder it is to read and you don't read any bit of it.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you, the worst example I believe in this community is T-Crass's posters stink. You cannot read them. Yes, it's nicely done and artsy, but if you hang the banner up, you cannot see anything on there to tell what their event is or what they're doing. So sometimes black and white and just the letters is all that's needed because you're just trying to convey. So I would always err on the side of simple.
I would suggest more of an eye-catching color for the background with a high contrast ink on it. So whether it's, a yellow banner with black ink or dark blue ink, or there's another one out right now, or was recently, that was like a brighter blue, and I think it had white ink on it. That was not that I memorized what it said, but it certainly at least caught my attention that was up there by Walgreens. So for whatever that's worth.
Okay. So we like simple, we want a simple color combination, and we know black and white is probably the highest visible, and then it goes from there, blue and white, and then probably the yellow, black combinations of things, because I know, having talked to people who do signs, there's specific things that the eyeball goes to color-wise. And so whether we do a dark background with white letters or do the dark background with a lighter, combination.
What's it supposed to say? I mean, is it
Well,
supposed to say
actually,
Historic Preservation Month?
Historic Preservation Month.
Of course, people don't even know we're preserving
open that thing?
anything.
I didn't take it all the way open because it didn't say that.
What did you say, Larry?
What does it say?
People don't even know May is preservation month.
It has,
We don't know. Archaeological.
Yeah.
Colorado Archaeologically and Historical Preservation Month. God darn. For local, what does that say, for local?
And it's UPass Historical Society. So,
Well, this thing's just been used for a variety of things.
hey, David, what do you think? You're
Do we need anything more than preservation month on there?
Historic Preservation Month.
Well, actually, you do need something. You need to tie in for somebody who cares to look. It doesn't have to be have to have the same presidents on, but something that accentuates the band that says UPass. Says no, it's not UPass. It's
See, that's
Woodland Park.
that's why I don't know what it's supposed to say.
something that put on there the Woodland Park Historical Preservation Committee.
That's what
Which is not the attention getting, it's just the information. If you decide you've already looked at it and you want to see it. Does this tan have anything to do with tying in with the color? Was that just complimentary?
No, she was just doing complimentary, but the logo, I think, is white.
So, my opinion is absolutely no more complicated on the letter, with you all the way. Whether it's 30 miles an hour or 60 miles an hour or a little further than across the room, you gotta go bam.
No, it's
I read
Historic
it.
Preservation.
On it. Then what would help set that off? I think the colored band makes a whole bunch of sense. But this could bullet point, frame it more heavier so that it focuses in on the letter. Whether that's a bright color. Yellow kind of comes to mind, not because I love yellow, but because you see it at, like a warning sign at 60 miles an hour.
So-
Or just pulling out the bullet point, the framing of it, so you
Are you
like.
saying keep this logo here?
Then
take
These logos and the information is secondary.
Yes, I agree.
But you want to frame this and just add information just to make it available because it's there.
So excuse me,
That our preservation committee should be, it doesn't even need to be this big. Just
excuse
down.
me. I
Yes.
hopefully have shared my screen that you can see on the monitor there from Google Street View. Yes?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so in this picture, there is a banner on that fence by Walgreens.
And it's white. You can't see it.
Yeah, enough people saw it because we won a vote. It was a short-term rental post.
So granted, it's not the most legible, but just from a coloration standpoint, I thought you guys would find it interesting.
1,500 voters said no short-term
Karen,
rental.
I'm sorry, say that again, please.
So not that it's legible from the Google Street View camera, but I just thought you would find it interesting just from the what catches your eye, conversation that we were having about coloration.
Right, so like a.
That's why it has
so
to be
like-
framed.
So like a bright yellow or something like that and frame it.
So you're saying
For
that the
sure.
white should be yellow.
I disagree with that.
Okay.
But you need to frame it, because the lettering doesn't stand out from everybody, because it all blends in with the background.
This
You got
is-
the
and
lettering
this does have
and it's
the-
framed
It's outlined.
with a bold color to, band it, it's getting there. But this needs to be strong too, just to
It's
frame that
already
in
on
black and
Google
white.
Maps.
I think you should do it however
It
David
was
says.
December special.
Yeah.
election.
Between him and Miriam, they can figure it out.
Look at that.
So given what we're up against with,
That's a good
uh,
one.
trying to get something that's visible.
Oh,
Oh, go
you weren't
back.
fast enough.
Hold on, can you go back to that close-up?
Focus in on the
Karen,
close-up.
That you had? Yeah, stop right there just a second.
See the border on that, the underline in there gives it a baseline, you gotta frame it. The black and white isn't wrong, it's just, it doesn't work if it's by itself,
Okay,
or the blue and white, whichever it is.
okay.
Is my opinion on that.
And nobody is gonna be able to read the Historical Preservation Committee, as far as I'm concerned, I can just be a little,
It's just because it's there, just because it's
Necessary.
right,
okay,
and put in a
But
place
you're still gonna be
that frames
seeing
it.
that.
right,
Yeah, that's my thought.
yeah.
And that's what it's all about.
Well, do we think we have some room in the budget that we can pay Miriam, so this isn't out of Linda's pocket? And to finish it up, get Dave and Miriam to.
Yeah, if we're just revising this, it's not gonna be 8 hours. But I would like to be efficient and study all of the language and make sure that, and then all she has to do is make it a 4x12 instead of we have to make sure that 4x12 is the right size.
Historic Preservation Month, May, and celebrating history, culture, heritage, that's all part of you guys nailed it. I think that's fine. What do you guys think?
That's the one I would change the color. I agree. Dave, I agree.
What do you think about the green? I think that works all right as long as it's contrasting, but,
Right.
uh,
Well, and it
But
connects
both
back
might
to the Woodland Park logo.
and that does come from a reason, because it is the Woodland Park logo.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be this tan,
Mhm.
or maybe we play with the border on that so that it frames it.
So certainly we can play with the budget a little bit so that we can come up with some dollars from another line item.
Yeah, more than likely. And then the other thing is under our current sign regs, the maximum size of banners like this to post anywhere in the city to call attention to an event or something like this is 36 square feet.
Where-
36 square feet.
Yep.
That's
So
the,
you can only do a 3x12.
So that is 3x12.
And if you put up 2 signs, they have to equal 36 square feet.
okay. From someone who has visited. this
Well,
recently.
I can find $150 because I didn't spend $700 up in Boulder.
There you go. So we can massage the budget a little bit so that we can pay for somebody's time to do this. That's our final budget, right?
So the $700 for the training and travel,
We
and
didn't,
I was reimbursed like $534. So got about 166.
$166 can come out of that line item.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And how much these things cost, these things to make them? They're not, are they $250?
I'm gonna move before it gets you up for that.
The 200 to 250, yeah.
Okay.
they
Yeah,
do.
they're pricey.
They're pricey.
People are very proud of making them. If you show up with your own design, you're good. It's a printing thing, it's just printing, but it's still a couple $100 to print. So you can do it online and they ship it, or you can do it here locally. There's plenty of people that do them. Not a whole lot of price difference when you talk about tax and delivery and everything else. So
Well, with that $166 might cover her wages for just modifying this. And then whatever's left in the budget for the banner.
Yeah, we can make it work, surely, to get this done.
We'd rather go ahead and do it.
Okay,
I
We
think
have to
this is
have
a great
motion on
start.
that?
We can just play up,
color.
ever change the colors and border lines, put up on the wall, walking by and go,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
run it by you guys on that, just send it around and say,
And
what do you think so far?
since we're getting close to May,
Gotta do it.
so it's gotta be done. That's why,
What
how
I'm
long-
thinking is we get her, take a look at that, powwow on it with Miriam, a little bit of what would make that work out. And you have to work on Miriam, she's good graphic designers, but as you've seen in the other place, you get artsy. And the art's great, but you don't read it, going fast.
Yeah,
And so, if we do that, then I'd say, we want to try in a week to go ahead and hit a send all on it and get an opinion that might involve a couple choices. Say, oh, you like this one or this one, and then we can carry on from there.
can
Just
we,
by
can we
sending it
do
a
that
vote.
via email without an official meeting?
yeah, we could do that. I'm sure we can do
We've
that.
done
But
that before.
I think properly though, we should make a motion today to kick this off. Karen?
There's no consensus by email. That is not something any committee can do. Formal action has to happen in a meeting. So sorry.
Meeting, have it ready to go, so we show up to the meeting and say, here it is, how much it costs. Yes or no?
So that is a limitation. And my other thought is worst case scenario, we're still hanging the old banner this year, but we're getting things set in place for next year. Just a thought on that. We may be able to get this pulled together before that. You know, and I guess, you know, the thought would be to make sure you guys are very comfortable with whatever design it is that you do put together to have this put up. Since this is something you're going to use for a number of years in the future. It's not just one and done, which is kind of nice to be able to get that longevity out of something.
We can share some things between now and next meeting and come in prepared to
Yeah,
pull the trigger.
yeah, I'll find out. I need ideas on where these banners are made and produced.
Well, Spence down at Canyon Signs is probably where most of them are made, but I think also, who is it in Cindy's department? I've lost track of, Amy, maybe you know, who's in Parks and Rec with the banners anymore?
I don't know who.
I think it's the new person, new name, I've lost track. Because they have a source that's been making some
At Parks and
banners.
Rec?
I can't think of the young lady's name.
Not Ally, is it? Or someone.
It was it used to be
Was it
Ally. It was whoever came in, and then I think there's been two people since Ally, I think. Anyway, they had a recommendation that was a decent price, and grommets, it was done well, had, what do they call them, slits for the air vents and things of that nature, so that because those are two quality things. But Spence down at Canyon Signs, he lives up here. That's probably where a lot of the local signs are done.
I'll start there. So I'll try to have a price
He's in the Springs.
and how long it will take to produce.
No, she says he lives up there.
He lives up
He
here.
lives up
That's
there.
it.
He lives out of Mills's old place.
Yeah.
But he's done countless signs for me in the Lake George Community Park and Lake George stuff up there. If you could get a price from the one, and maybe I could go down and he could beat it maybe. And for 20 years, he's done signs for me.
That's the Spence guy?
That's
Yeah.
Spence.
Old Swain,
Pardon?
Old Swain, is that his last name? How you pronounce his last
No,
name?
No.
Old Swan?
uh,
Swan.
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 I knew it was Swan, I didn't know if you pronounced the whole thing. It was written Old Swan.
Old
O-L-E.
Swanee or
Yeah.
something, that's his
O-L-E,
nickname.
yeah.
So who's the Park and Rec person that we're gonna do the comparison shopping with?
Well, it used to be Ally was a young lady who you go through to schedule your banners and so on and so forth, but I don't think she's here anymore.
So at this point, we just have space.
Keep it simple. Do we have to have a motion, Karen, you think? I mean, we've got it in the budget and in our work plan. But we just want to come back next month and approve it and pull the trigger, so that's for the monies.
Yeah, what is it you're wanting to authorize today?
I think you're
Is
frozen.
She's frozen.
that-
You're back. What'd you say? We didn't catch that. It sounded like Chinese.
I assure you, I am not fluent. I just am trying to track with you guys, so I want to make sure I understand, what is it you're wanting to authorize today?
Just to continue to work on this banner and get it redesigned.
Okay, I think you've got consensus in your discussion here, that I think we're okay with that. And so the objective would be to have something in front of you guys at your April meeting to then render a decision on.
Yep.
Regard to
Yeah, we
having it
definitely want that
actually,
on the April agenda to pull the trigger and be over this, because we've had this discussion several years now.
okay. I will need, like more than one price on having it printed. So we will have to get that put together under our purchasing policy. So if we know what the size is and we know whether it's like 1 or 2 colors, I think we can get estimates just on that. And have that number available.
I might be able to find the name of,
I can't hear you.
okay, we did a quote on, but Spence should be able to get the hell out of it. I'll try
I
to
will.
pull it forward, okay. All right, so we'll get you 2.
Is it tax exempt?
Yeah.
But when I talk to him, I'll
Yep.
make sure he's aware of that.
Yeah, but they tell
You
you
good,
it's
Karen?
more expensive than him.
I can't hear what Steve says.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, say again, Karen?
I couldn't hear what Steve was saying.
Oh, Steve was just asking if it would be tax exempt since it's the city.
It should be.
Yeah, so we were just confirming that for him, type of thing. Okay, we're ready to move on? Okay, item C is state grant opportunities. We didn't have an update last month. Any update this month, Karen?
Other than before the meeting, I was actually blocking out time on my calendar to pick that back up before the April meeting to have you guys some information at that point. I know Kimberly many months ago had done some work on that, and yeah, no, we gotta pick it back up and get that moving. That's the danger of having a grant application that doesn't have a deadline. So that's where we are. Yeah, so my apologies.
Okay. And next item is the Templeton Cemetery Restoration Plan, and Eric's a central part of that in his discussion where he's at, since he's out having his eyeballs cut on with cataract surgery. Should we just, unless anybody has anything, should we just table that one?
Yes.
You good with tabling? Nobody has any update, right? Okay, so let's table it. All right, we're down to the poster. We've kicked around a lot of things for the poster, the last 2 meetings. David, what you got? Anything?
Just some thoughts of concurrence that you'd work to, do something that helps with that, what is it? Women's Year or Women's Month or something like that, with it there, get that a little better defined. And then take advantage of Steve's wonderful sources, do what we've done before, start pulling stuff in and make some graphic representation of it. So to go along with that theme seemed to be like a good idea. We have, it's been reinforced every place I'm looking as well in how wonderful and supportive the women's groups in this community were over the last century.
I would agree with that.
You agree with that? I don't know what that means yet, but I didn't know what the heck the,
Okay, so but as far as the subject, as far as the subject matter, we think we're kind of heading this direction this time.
what is,
Completely different than anything.
We've done,
yeah, what's the correct name for that for
Home
the youth?
demonstration?
Well, that was part of it, but I mean, for the, it's a National Structural Women's Year or Women's
Well, it's
Month.
International Women's Day on March 8th, and March is National Women's Month. National, is it? Or just Women's Month? You might have to Google that.
I don't know that we need to tie in that specifically, if we just kind of,
Women of town of Golden Park.
yeah.
And let me know-
jump on that.
When and if I'm supposed to do something, because I don't write notes, so I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing something
I
right
just
now
do
or
it the day
not.
before it's due.
Yeah, you don't have all them Pioneer women done yet, and their pictures?
Keep reminding you something on that, because that's been the inspirational source is what you brought to us. I do have some clients that just brought it up about Henrietta that I'll mention when it's my turn later, here, and, brought up Clara Voss, and you mentioned let's come up with some of the other, artistic bents and supportive that ran a lot of circles. How we put that on a poster that you can read at 60 miles an hour, I don't have a clue right now.
but basically, Steve, if we're gonna talk about historical women, if we start at that point, so you've got Armentrout, you've got, turkey farmers, you've got, just making a list to familiarize, and we can narrow it down maybe as you move forward and move through it. So what that would be,
You said Armitage, so you talking Green Mountain too, or Ute Pass?
well, I was thinking about Anime, well, actually, Anime Wellington is who I was thinking about, taking photographs of the area, came to my mind. Whether we do Burns or, I mean, there's anybody that you want to write down to help us not miss something. So
Zelma would be a fantastic one.
yeah,
You know a ton about Zelma.
but if we could, there's a bunch of ladies, and then we could narrow it down so that we could focus the poster effort. But we can't focus it without knowing names and what their contribute,
What they did.
right, and what
I
they
want to
contribute.
balance.
It's gotta be some kind of picture to go with it, because it is a poster, not
Right.
just
We want
a newspaper.
So their
memorial,
contributions and their significance to the area,
Yeah.
to Woodland Park, rather.
Yeah,
Not the area, but
Priority.
Woodland Park.
yeah,
priority wise.
that would really help us springboard from there for the poster. What do you guys think? Yes.
I want Naomi Marcus on there.
Mhm,
Naomi Marcus is big.
mhm.
To win with them. She was a member of it. You have the list of who's,
Yeah,
but no, for sure Naomi Marcus and the Marcuses.
mhm.
I mean, there's so many directions we could go with it. Okay,
Naomi Marcus,
Naomi Marcus.
she's part of the homesteading of the Marcus Ranch.
Yes.
That's your son?
Jake
or
Marcus
daughter?
is my son-in-law, and
No.
we mentioned the other part about what was happening, just off of Edlow Road, and he just started reciting the history back to me.
Yes.
But I didn't know.
Daryl?
No, the Daryl's son,
Daryl's son.
Jake.
Jake.
Daryl probably knows a whole lot more, but I haven't promised him.
Daryl and I, I'm gracious, we were 9, grew up
Mhm.
together.
Yeah.
So, you know, and he was the youngest in his family, sibling wise, because Janice Hamlet is probably 20 years older than his sister. I mean, there's a lot of still rich,
Everything.
yeah, there really is.
Excuse me. So
Yep.
what I would like to suggest is, I will have Grant on our team send out an email to all of you, that you can send back a list, or, names of who you would like to suggest, what they did, and if there's pictures available. And then I will have him compile all that, and we'll include that in your packet for the April meeting. So we're probably going to give you a deadline of like April or of March 20th to get those suggestions back. So we've got time to compile it and make sure it's in the packet for the deadline for that to go out. So that next meeting, then you could have a chance to talk about them in more depth and which ones kind of rose to the top for you as you reviewed it in preparation for the April meeting.
Okay, cool. You eat that well.
I was just thinking that, I think, just exactly now, I was thinking of it.
It's probably right in my head. Okay, Grant, who's Grant?
Our new guy.
Well, I figured, give me a job description or an idea where to find him.
He's a part-time permit technician. So he's,
I've heard the name. Okay,
yeah, between Dory and Amy, yeah,
okay.
he's,
Yep. Thanks for the reminder. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
no, he's new, he's doing a great job for us, and he's typically there middle of the day, Tuesday through Thursday, and then Friday, like 7:30 to 2:30 is when he's there. So basically Tuesdays through Fridays, you can catch him at the desk.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna go down under reports. Is your time good? Because Frank has to, you're still good time-wise. Frank
I
has
have
to
10
go-
minutes.
Okay, Frank's got to go to the candidates forum downstairs, so I don't want to keep him.
Right.
So David, do you have anything?
It's a quick thing to bounce out to you. I've begun working with trying to bring some things into code compliance. The old church building across the street there, across from the park there, I don't remember the original name, it was Last Faith Lutheran Church on it. They're not really looking at making bigger changes, but the question did come up. In spite of the great number of changes, is there any eligibility for a historical recognition like we did with the plaques of other people?
Which
Which
building?
building?
The Free
The old-
Methodist,
The old church.
the Free
building.
Oh, yeah,
Methodist,
yeah,
the
yeah.
original two-door Free Methodist church.
Yeah.
On Henrietta and Park.
Henrietta.
Oh.
It has not been designated, but it's historic for sure.
Well, it's got a lot of history, maybe too much history for the designation is where the question comes up. But they would be happy to work with it, provide anything into it, appreciative of doing it. They're just,
You know what? I don't think we've ever included any of the churches on any of the historical surveys. So we would have.
but that wouldn't be a church anymore.
Right,
So
we
it's
would-
not following
I'm
the
not, I'm
religion.
just thinking out loud, I don't think
Sure.
that's a qualification, Dave, I guess I'm just saying. So we don't already have that history, I wonder, is that history, does that ring a bell with you, having any history on
Well, it
that?
was the first church, it's the oldest church in Woodland Park.
Okay, so maybe if we could lean on Steve a little to see what we could pull together. And if they're willing to go through the process, it'd be cool if we could designate a property this year. If it.
Well, once it's designated, it's eligible for tax credits.
Right, exactly. So, and you're telling us, Dave, they've got.
Oh, I
an
mentioned it
interest.
to them, say, hey, I wonder, as they were talking about possibilities and stuff, their eyes lit up. There are a couple good kids that are just trying to make the place better.
So what are we, what's it called now? This church?
Well, it was last, Prayer Mountain was the last name on it. They are going, it will now be called the Henrietta. The Henrietta, which I thought was pretty good. And they're honoring, and speaking of the women thing, they're honoring that Henrietta was named after the woman who donated property to the church building originally.
What's the address of the property?
I think that was
It will not
Peter
be
Lloyd.
It's not gonna
I
be a
think that was
church.
Peter Lloyd that
What is it
donated
gonna
that
be?
land, but I'm
They
not
got
sure.
something,
Okay, so
What?
here's the point, if we've got
What?
somebody with interest in a designation and we can help them, I think we should do that.
What is the address of the property?
It's on Park,
Dave's thinking,
100
it's,
something.
it's clicking,
It's on Park, right? Isn't
Park
it
and
the
Park
church?
and Henrietta.
Faces Park,
Faces Park,
Isn't it the church right across the street?
yes.
No,
No,
no, it's down this
across
way,
from the
Down
park.
Across from the park.
Right.
right across from the
The
pond,
stucco,
right across from the pond.
the stucco church across from the park.
the old community.
Right. That's what I thought. And now, do you know what it's gonna be now?
just a general, they're looking at, they've got some, she's a hairdresser, so they're gonna, do some of that, probably at the lower floor, just a little bit of retail, and are looking at the main church, if it could pull that off to be some kind of event center without having to tear the whole building down and start over for code conformance.
Well, we could have a music service instead of a church service. I think.
We don't know the address, Karen, but it's, there it is. It's on the left,
That's it,
that's
That's
it,
it.
right there.
Yeah, it was really.
Radiant Church.
that's right.
That's right. That was the
It was the
last.
old
That
original
was what I remember
community
last.
church when I was a kid, and it was probably something different before that.
And that's the oldest church in town. Huh? What was the year?
They started in like 1921 or so, but it was, the original building was from like 1896 or something like that, and it went away. And then the ladies, I want to say Peter Lloyd donated that land, and the ladies started a church in like 1920 and used that building and something like that.
And it's always
I'd
been
have
in
to look
the
at my
pictures
notes.
of Memorial Park.
I know, isn't
You
that
know,
great?
it's always been in there.
It's awesome.
Okay, cool, so
We'll
thank you for bringing
continue
that
to-
up. Yes,
Yep.
we'll continue.
So if there's hope for it to be designated, they can start applying for the tax credits up to 2 years prior to its designation. So, and that's something, if they're interested in trying to
No,
get
they're,
tax
they're good,
credits.
they're just trying to make things better and
Sure.
do the best they can with it,
So
so.
in other words, you can
That's
do
a
it
good one.
parallel as opposed to serially.
Yes,
And they could, if they were interested, start the process.
yes, they can start the process of, there's a two-step application process to the tax credits. First, it's evaluated for its,
Historical.
and then it goes into the next step.
Okay.
Does that rely on, state
No,
approval?
it's any designation, local, state, or national.
So we could either meet with them or invite them to come here, if they have any questions, or after we get Steve's help pulling some information together.
And did you keep the cards of those ladies that did that tax
I believe I
credit?
still got them on my desk at home, I think.
He collected the cards, I didn't.
According to the county assessor, they show the year built is 1938.
Before that.
It was,
Most
that,
before
it was before that.
Well,
That's probably when they remodeled and kept track of something.
well, in terms of like the current building, yeah, I agree with you. It doesn't mean there wasn't something there prior, but yeah.
No,
I think there's old pictures even.
1890s.
Cool, all right. So we've got that going on. Linda, anything else? Steve, anything else to show us?
Have you guys ever talked about, and you probably have, historic signs for area historic buildings?
At one time, we mentioned about designating the historic buildings with a picture before and after, whatever.
Any kind of plaque on the front of them or anything? A durable,
You know, like they did in Victor or something like that. but-
We have plaques on our,
but
historic
landmarks,
building on the landmarks, but how about little synopsis of each building?
no.
we've talked about it and it, I think over the years Sally got some different pricing and stuff and it was pricey then and we never really brought it back around to revisit it.
Well, these days they do those QR codes,
Oh, yeah,
but I don't know what's involved with that.
Do you have, I mean, we've considered it.
No, I was just wondering, it just came to mind, I meant to mention it at the last meeting, I forgot.
should take notes.
And
Anything
then
else?
also, the Roberts House, I'm wondering, places in the United States alongside of the old Pikes Peak Ocean Highway have annual celebrations that attract a lot of people, and businesses benefit, and it generates revenue to the towns that have these things. I would, now this is just a pipe dream, but it would be so cool, I think, if the Roberts Cabin got fully restored, and the county, if the city of Woodland Park or this committee could work with the Teller County Historic Preservation Committee to get the bridge repaired and restored, and have a annual Pikes Peak Ocean Day. And these other towns across the US, they bring their old cars. It's regular celebrations, and they really attract a lot of people, and they generate a lot of money for the businesses. And so I just wanted to bring that up and see if anybody thinks that's way too high of a dream, or if it's possible, or if we should look into it, or what.
So has there been any movement with the county repopulating the county historical preservation?
That's in existence.
But the last time I checked, nobody was on that committee.
There's people on the committee now.
Okay, if there are actually people on the committee, I'm happy to try to engage with them to find out what they're thinking, what they're doing, and if they've read their resolution or whatever to see what they're supposed to do.
Yeah,
It's fairly,
See what their,
fairly complex.
tell them to look at their county signs as you enter Teller County and see what their motto is.
I know. Jim Ignatius was behind that motto, by the way. But if they've actually got a committee, at one time that committee participated with us to some degree.
I'm leaving.
Years ago,
I
thank
want to
you.
interrupt you.
No problem.
I need a few minutes to clear my head before I have
Yeah,
to
you
say
gotta do
anything.
that.
Thank you.
All right, thank
Appreciate
you. Thank you, Frank.
Oh,
Good
thank you. I
luck
appreciate
tonight.
that, Luck.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
So
I'm hoping I'm not gonna need much of it, but yeah.
How
yeah,
about-
that's good. Thank you.
how about if I'll take an action item with Steve and I'll do some research to find out who's on this committee and what they're thinking. And see if there's some overlap, because we know that we supported the bridge effort, but it really should have come out of the county.
Right.
And we know that we supported the Historical Society in being the main driver there, because the bridge is
Do
named the
something to
city.
see
So how about we will, I'll just see what they're thinking and how
Where they are.
empowered they feel they are. And what, because I mean, remember the depot up in Divide was also an issue at the time, and they were trying to do some things there. We were trying to be supportive of the whole thing. So it sounds like we need to do some groundwork. I'll do some groundwork and I'll. be
And I'll
talking to Steve.
contact Dave Martinique, he's the
Yeah.
chair of Teller County Historic Preservation.
Oh, is he? David.
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
so I'll contact him and just bring the subject up.
Yeah, because for the ocean highway thing to really kick off, it's technically the county, and the county's the one that has to apply for the dollars to repair the bridge.
Exactly.
And so if we can be supportive of that and just start that relationship, that might be a good thing to cultivate and collaborate. Okay,
And the Roberts House would be a meeting point for such a day if it
Sure.
ever come along.
well,
I know this is a pretty wild
okay,
idea,
but
but
let me just throw this
that's how
out.
all these things started, is at a table just like this.
Right, but
Can we reuse the poster over there?
think about this, you guys, Cruise Above the Clouds.
That's what I
Down
said.
is a well-established event up here, so maybe they would in the future, be willing to take a route and route it and use it as a,
Mhm.
I mean, there are existing events that might be able to be incorporated.
Yes, that's good thinking.
Some things like that.
Cruise Above the Clouds is an obvious one. They've been very active, so I don't know who's pushing them now.
I'm not sure the players either at the moment, but they took a hiatus for 1 year or 2 years during COVID. And they had to adjust up their date because there was some sort of international car show in Denver, and they didn't want to compete with that. So, but they're still in existence, and they did it last year. So and I think it's close to 30 years that they've been doing their thing.
That looked pretty big last year, after it
Yeah.
had been shut down.
Okay, cool. All right, anything else, Steve?
Friday, if you can, rain or snow,
Rain or snow,
Rain or
March
snow.
8th, March 8th is a reminder of the
At 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock dedication, Memorial Park. On the west side,
That's
In the
1 o'clock
cul-de-sac?
Friday.
Yeah, just right down
Yeah.
there.
just right down
Right
here,
down here in the
the
cul-de-sac.
cul-de-sac. Okay, cool,
Be there or be square.
okay. All right. Larry?
I leave it to you, but
No,
on Sunday, Lori presented the plaque to Donna Pinnacle for her achievements in volunteering in the community, and it was well received. So Lori did a fine job on Sunday with the presentation at the Cultural Center for the patron lunch. First, we had the patron lunch and then honored Donna Pinnacle for her works and achievements in not just the Historical Society, but the Wounded Warrior, whatever
Oh, boy.
the warrior was.
She's done so much.
She's done beyond a lot of people volunteering without question and still doing. But it was a good program.
Did everybody get the picture of the, remember I had just had a sketch originally and then I sent out what the
You said
final
you
award
got it,
looked.
it was nice. You did a
looked like.
nice job. The plaque was nice. And she's very touched. You know, I spoke to her after that and she's very touched, you know, about the whole thing, that she's being recognized.
Yeah, I'm sorry she had to split it though, that.
Oh, the Wagon Boss Award, yeah. Well, this was our committee honoring her with this
Oh, okay.
particular award. The Wagon Boss Award is in 2
That's
weeks.
coming.
That's in 2 weeks, she'll get that.
Okay.
But and by the way, I forgot the bill, but I remember I told you guys 8150, it actually ended up being 6150. So I'll bring the bill in and
And what was the award called?
it,
Is that for that dinner down in the
what
Springs?
did we call it? Well, the dinner down the Springs is the
That's the
Wagon
Wagon
Boss. But this award that we gave, oh gosh, guys,
Where's that picture of your?
I'm looking for it. Who's, Pat, I think Pat took that one.
How do you pronounce her last name?
Hislop?
Yes, okay. I always call her Pat the Talker.
How are you?
Great.
So, yeah, that went over real well. Anything else, Larry?
No, that's it.
Okay, so I was just gonna mention, so Larry got the award. I'll bring in the invoice. Like I said, it was $20 cheaper than the quote we had gotten on it. Came out real nice. And I'm wondering if we as a committee should just think about doing things like this from an awareness perspective to groups, people, individuals, or something that strikes us as, you know, like Donna or, thank you, Amy. Beat up case.
Oh, boy, that's nice.
Yeah, but I copied all you guys on the message. You should have it on. But anyway, I don't know, it's just a thought, you know, to recognize what's going on. If we don't keep ourselves in front of people, and if we don't keep blowing our own horns, it's gonna die. So I'm just thinking we should look for opportunities maybe. So I just thought I'd throw that out there for whatever it's
That's
worth.
good, keep awareness of COVID.
And on that,
Very good.
Yeah.
on that note, like Friday, when I give my presentation, the whole idea of that monument is conceived in my talk that I'm gonna give in a joint effort between this committee and the UPass Historical Society. So you guys are gonna get the credit for that memorial, you and UPass Historical Society.
Well, you're the catalyst for that. We
My
certainly.
name's not even gonna be mentioned,
I know,
I'm just gonna be the
but
presenter.
Okay, you're gonna be the presenter, but, thank you very much, Steve, because I think this is all about just that awareness piece of going forward. So I guess what I would like to suggest is that some point, just like the presentation that you guys put together for the monument repair, then perhaps as we go through this year, making sure we come back to council, have the presentation to say, hey, this has happened this year, we did this, we did that. I tell you what, if we don't keep it up there in front of people's faces, it's gonna fade. And it's just really important that we do that.
The other awareness aspect, mentioned that they didn't even know there's people on the Taylor County Historical there. I mean, telling those are, and do some inviting to attend the
Yes.
meeting
Yes.
here, so we get a face and a name to go